Hello all, welcome back, and this is the second video of two that's being made this weekend. This is the last era in relation to Tropico 6, so this is your modern times. As you can see, at the end of the last video we were in 1965. We're now at 1968, so it took me another couple of years, or 3 years, to get to this point, to be able to go into the final area. So we're just going to go into that. We'll go into the modern times and see what changes have become afoot. Again, we'll pause the game and we'll have a look and see what has changed for you. So again, looking at anything to do with the building menu, we now can see that power becomes available. So solar power, offshore wind, wind turbine. Now, unfortunately, solar power is better for pollution reduction, but it gives less power than nuclear power. But I still went with solar power, which you'll see in a moment in the other saved game with the progress I've made. Obviously, again, as before you move across, you have things like a hydroponic plantation. Now, these last three are an absolute godsend. Specifically these two. The hydroponic plantation no longer needs to be placed on a certain part of the map where you have green, yellow, or red returns. Because it's hydroponic, it doesn't matter where it's placed on the island, you get the same efficiency based on the building itself and surrounding buildings. The factory ranch is the same in a sense that you can place the ranch anywhere you want to on the island for the 6 items in question, but you do need things like a regular supply of corn, or as the crocodile situation is concerned, a regular supply of fish. And the automated mine gives you that better, higher return on your resources, your mineral resources, so like your coal, etc. So whereas whatever you were getting before, you will get more out of it. And bearing in mind that you're going to need that for these buildings, industry buildings, it's probably good that they do that. So for example, electronics, you need plastics and gold. Now bearing in mind that we're already using gold for jewelry, you now need gold for electronics, so you need to kind of maximize your gold. Fashion company, this is to do with cloth and leather. So we were already using cloth and leather from the tannery. Well, the tannery was getting obviously cotton, I believe it was, went to the tannery. No, hides from the ranch, the cattle ranch, and that was making leather. So you need the leather for the fashion company, and the cloth comes from the cotton or wool of sheep and obviously and so on. Pharmaceuticals, you need oil to produce pharmaceuticals, although there is actually an alternative in the game when you're playing this. You can choose to use sugar instead. Now, I did start doing that on this save. The only issue I found is I was running out of sugar faster than anything, because sugar was also being used in rum and also being used in chocolate. So I went back to oil because I felt better to do that way. And the juicery is when you're now starting to use your bananas and pineapple. Well, pineapples were being used for canned goods, but now they can be used for juicery, which means bananas weren't being used at all, apart from being eaten by the local population. Now you can use them to put them in your juicery, and it gives you gives the people and they're eating better food or drink, as the case may be, on that basis. You now have Secure Mansion was already in Cold War. I hadn't unlocked it by this point. But you now have Modern Apartment, which replaces your normal apartment, and Modern Mansion, which is the rich homes. So, this is kind of along the same sort of lines as Secure, but one's best quality, one's high quality. So, mix and match how you see fit. You've got a few more items that you can use. I think it's from Aqua Park onwards. They're for fun, for leisure. And, of course, luxury. You've got these extra ones at the back end of here as well. Your media hasn't changed because we already had these anyway. And tourism now is available to unlock airport, economy hotel, family resort, luxury hotel, and so on. The last 2 items available on public services are your shopping mall and waste treatment. Waste treatment replaces garbage dump, and it's better for the reduction of pollution because it also has the ability as an option to extract mineral resources from the treatment. Overall, final bits and pieces in modern times is obviously cyber technology and drone command. So basically, these are things that'll appear for you. And then obviously you've got things in finance and government. Um, I've not used the offshore office at the moment purely and simply because you can host, it says it hosts a company of one of the superpowers, generates money at the cost of losing relations with said superpower. So, and I'll come to obviously superpowers in a moment, but yeah, you don't really want to kind of a negativity on that basis if just making money when you can use the office because you get money from people on the island anyway. I haven't built a farm, Tropico farm, purely and simply because, as it says there, it generates cryptocurrency. But when you start to sell the cryptocurrency, the price itself drops dramatically. So I don't know how long it'll take to recover that. I don't know. And as you can see here, it's 250 of power. The police blimp speaks for itself. It's kind of located in a certain area, so you can put multiple blimps if you so wish. And of course, Ministry of Information is to do with things like, again, continues the spying element, which is from before. If we go into your superpowers, you have 5 to choose from now: China, Russia, USA, Middle East, and the EU. And if you go into your factions, it's 2 more new ones. It's the intellectuals and the conservatives. So intellectual speaks for itself. They're more about kind of science, and the conservatives, again, speaks for themselves. So you now have 8 factions to deal with. And that's pretty much where that is. I mean, trade, or your raid screen rather, because I didn't pick it up in the last video. Obviously, you will now, not only do you have the pirate cove, you've got to have built each one, obviously, because like, for example, in the Cold War, you need to build the Spy Academy before you can start doing any work on the raids with them. Same applies with the Cyber Operations Center. You need to build it before you can actually do any raid work on it. But again, the good thing about this one is you have an espionage raid on the Spy Academy for blueprints. Now, you need to... you can unlock the blueprints both through money itself, but it's very expensive to do so. If you can get the raids and get blueprints on the back end of it, it may take a little while, but at least you'll get some on the back end of those. So that's kind of the starting point of modern times where we progress through. What we're going to do now is I'm going to load the current save from where I am now, and you'll see a drastic change, which I think it was that one there. So we've now moved across to January 2041. So bearing in mind that I'm still in power as El Presidente, which means I would be something like, bearing in mind we started in 1914 in the World Wars as El Presidente, that would make me at least probably about 140, maybe even more. I don't think they're taken out of consideration. But anyway, let's load it up. And there's a couple of things I want to kind of go through with you that will benefit you as you go along, especially when it comes to your Swiss bank account. So again, we'll pause it. And what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, and I'm going to show. I did an absolute revamp of the island. Along the lines I said to you about the fact that you can place the hypergenic, hydrogenic, I think it was, plantations and ranches anywhere you wanted to. I did an absolute redesign of the island, so I moved everything, because obviously with the plantation it took up quite a bit of room, but with the hydroponics, that's the word I was trying to get to, it doesn't take up that much room. It literally is that's what it is. So I kind of revamped the island to the fact that you've got all the hydroponics over here, with the exception of a handful over the western side of the island, which I'll show in a minute. So we've got, for example, here we've got your bananas, tobacco, coffee, pineapple, and so on, literally so on. This one is all sugar because I know that I needed a lot more sugar. So we'll go over here, and here's your and there's some more corn here because corn is needed for your ranches, for the factory ranch to work. So as you can see here now, we've got multiple ranches now. I think it's 4 for each. So it's 24 in total, so it's 4 for each type. And then obviously, sorry, I keep zooming in and out again. There's no easy way of doing it. And then I've moved a lot of the industry buildings that related to the item in question. So, for example, textile needed wool and cotton to make cloth. So bearing in mind that most of the wool would come out of your sheep and llamas, I've moved the textile mills over here. We've also got things such as a small more of the corn. What's this one then? That's also corn. Did I bring loads of corn over? I must have done. I thought I only brought 6, but I must have brought 12. Oh no, I'm facing the other way. That's why, because it's 2 per slot. That's why. Yeah. So the corn we've already said about. What else we got over here? This is your pharmaceuticals. I used to use the oil wells here, but I've decided, again, if I move across the island, to utilize oil over here instead. We have got some offshore, so there's 2 offshores here, and there was some more oil, I believe, around here somewhere. I've lost where the other one is now. I think it must be around this way. Yeah, there's another oil well there, but I also still use a couple of oil wells on the island as well, I believe, over here. I think it's one of these. Oh, that's nickel. That's nickel. Yeah, so there was quite a big patch of oil here, so I was able to put in about half a dozen oil wells on this one, and another one over here. On there. Which is good. So the transport is an issue, so you have to kind of put a lot more teamsters. And as you can see here, all of the mines have been upgraded to automated mines, so they're using power, which is the thing. They will use power to generate more of a return, but it is giving you that more of a return. Military presence is more required now. So you can see that there is a lot more military in place now than there was before. So there's a couple of barracks. There's an army base up there, like a tank base. If you go over this side of the island, there's some more military over this side of the island as well. And this is my tourist area. So again, it's kind of open to change, but we've now got a couple of cruise ships in place now. We've got a yacht club, a couple of really nice hotels. There's an airport behind. But I also maintained a presence of because I was finding a lot of guerrillas were attacking the tourist area, so I've put in a tank base and a barracks as well in the area. A couple of roller coasters. And these are the buildings, I said, these are the modern apartments that replace the normal apartments for those that are well off residential wise. This will eventually be destroyed because I'll replace it with that. Now, 2 positive situations arose out of kind of a sort of a mini crisis. Firstly, money. When I came into modern times, I was running out of money hand over fist. And that was because I was trying to go with the flow that I didn't want to sell the base items such as bananas, pineapples, even cloth, because they were being used further down the line. However, with what I've got in place and what was being generated, I was able to sell the surplus. So at one point, I was over $2.5 million in the bank. It's come down a bit because I've done a lot of spending. So pretty much every building that I build now, I put a maximum budget. So for example, here you've got the banks. All the banks have got a maximum budget. Colleges are supposed to as well, but they haven't been. So I've just upgraded them as well. But yeah, so any buildings I've got that I've built, where possible and funds allow, I am maximising the budget, monthly budget, so that you can get the better return out of things. The other thing was regard to population. So without realising at the start of the game, generally your population sits at 2,000. I hadn't really taken a lot of notice, if I'm honest, but I was getting to the point where it kept saying Tropico is crowded, no more available space for people to come in. And it wasn't until I had another look at the settings. So if we go into the settings, for example, here, I think it's this one. Yeah, go into your options. And the gameplay, which is the second tab, gives you the option to change from up in amounts of 1,000, and I've taken to the maximum. So I've now got availability to have 10,000 people on the island if I so wish. I haven't got enough housing for 10,000 people, but you can see where I'm going through with that. So that kind of came out of a positive as well, that we were able to get the benefit out of that by kind of expanding the population. The final quick thing I wanted to kind of cover with you with the layout is power. Now I mentioned to you that basically solar power gives out less than nuclear power, but I thought from a pollution point of view, an emissions point of view, which is one of the kind of like edicts and processes of people to like you in your elections, I have got multiple, and I mean multiple, solar power plants in different areas. So like for example here there's a solar about 6 or 7. If I go across this side of the island, there's another batch of solar power. I've also moved my palace and anything that's to do with government. So we've got all the embassies up here. We've got Defence HQ. I said the palace ministry. All of this sort of thing is all up here. I've also purchased some parking decks so people can drive from different locations. They're dotted around the island. But we've got, I think at the moment we have got a net surplus of over 4,000 megawatts, and you need it. You definitely need it, because every so often I was finding I was putting in, oh god, I need some more power, and I just thought, just build loads of them in one area, which is what I've done. Solar power plants don't need roads, so literally you can just build them anywhere. So I mean, from an island point of view, it does look a bit strange where you've got all these solar power plants, but there you go. We're starting to build what I call a rich area, a posh area. So all these are the modern mansions and secure mansions. And then obviously again, you do have your military presence, but you need that. But you've got all the fun stuff. You've got your stadium, you've got roller coasters, you have got parking deck, you've got 2 golf courses, one there and one over here. We have got opera house, nightclubs, shopping malls, cathedrals. So that's kind of all the posh area, so to speak. And of course there is room to expand. You know, if I wanted to do more stuff, there is room to expand. But it is a case of, in as far as my progress is concerned, I feel that I'm in a position now that I don't need to expand any further until I get more people in. So for example, I got to a point where I had something like, well, as you can see here, I now have 574 spaces available for immigrants. Only one person is homeless, and that's because they haven't chosen to go anywhere. Jobs-wise, I mean, there are 28 people that are unemployed, but I've got, of which there are 15 of them, for example, are high school. I've got 242 high school jobs available, so hopefully they'll just slot into there. College jobs, a little bit more difficult. We will need to kind of build some more college buildings as time goes on. But really and truthfully, as far as this game is concerned, I consider myself to be in end game. This is what I feel to be in end game, and whatever I do now moving forward will just kind of, I don't know, it would just it will hopefully make things look a bit better, or it'll make things run smoothly. And just generate money hand over fist if necessary. But yeah, so I think from my point of view, as you can look at the island now and see what's on the island, and as I zoom back in again, there's a lot of things in place, and I consider myself to be in end game. So that kind of brings us to the sort of the closing sentiments of this series so far, in that there isn't much else to do when you've got to this point of all 4 eras being completed, and you just play the game how you see fit. You can set yourself your own goals and just end when you want to end, and that's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. There will be challenges that come along, of course there will be, but you just do what you want to do. One of the other things I meant to say as well, where possible,
New opportunities came up. Nothing illegal. Well, nothing that can be proven to break any laws.
best thing to do is try and find ways of increasing your Swiss bank account as much as possible, whether that's in buildings. So some buildings will, like some say, banks, for example, will give you money into your account, all those sort of things, because then literally you can just, like for example here, you want to increase the standing of people, bang, bang, bang. It's just cost me 15,000 Swiss dollars, and to be honest, that's not a lot. It's not a huge amount at all. You can, do all that. Um, and also going back to, I think, I mentioned in the last video about your research, I'm at a point now where I've researched everything. There's nothing else for me to research in all 4 areas. So I've closed down my libraries and my research labs. I don't need them at all. So that's kind of like where that is in that basis. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, put them in the comment section below and I'll come back to you on that basis. And as always, again, I hope you've liked what you've seen in this set of videos for Tropico 6. Now, although this is the end of the 4 eras relating to Tropico 6, this isn't the end, I hope, of the series. In a sense that, as you may or may not be aware, the reason why Tropico 6 has become kind of relevant again is because they do bring out regular DLC content, or DLC, because content is content, so DLCs, so like your add-ons. So I'm hoping to have a look at some of the add-ons. Obviously, you do pay for each one that you add on. So the oldest one is called the Llama on Wall Street, which it came out about five years ago, I think it was, as the first add-on. The only downside, and I reviewed this, the only downside is I cannot add any DLC content into an existing saved game. You would have to start from scratch. So what I'm hoping to do is to make a series of videos over the coming months, so it'll probably be over the next 6 months or so, where we get a separate DLC. I download it onto, pay for and download it onto myself, play the game from scratch with that DLC in place, because there will be new maps, there will be new buildings, there will be new processes that you need to follow. The basic game itself will still be the same. You'll still have the same plantations, you'll still have all of that, but the actual overall, the changes will be with the new content or the new add-on themselves. And hopefully what will happen is we'll do a video for each one, play the game through. I imagine it's the same process. You have the 4 eras again, but how the other buildings fit into those sections. And also as well, I've learned a lot of stuff from this game. So in a sense that doing things differently, the way I started playing this game at the very beginning was from other people starting different ways of doing things. I've realized that not all forums and not all videos that I've watched are kind of productive. So you need to find your own way. And that's what I will do, and that's what I've done. So when I do play my next game on here with the next content, I'm hoping to generate different ideas than what I did before. But anyway, that's enough of me talking for today. As again, I thank you very much for watching this series. It is very likely, along with any other content I have on my channel, that this will be the last video of this year. I know it's still only the beginning of December. I'm not expecting to do any more video releases until the new year. And on that note, I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever it is that you celebrate on that basis. And I will see you all in the new year. Thank you very much.